All right, so today we're going to be talking about this article that came out on 9 to 5 Google saying better performance or not, ARKit on iOS 11 is already destroying Google's Tango. So I'm going to give you my take on it, and Carlos will give you his take on it, and then we'll go from there. So as soon as I read this, and obviously after the WWDC happened and we saw what iOS 11 was going to come with, and they were talking about ARKit. I wasn't too familiar with what Google's Tango was doing, and that's just because they haven't marketed it out that way, and it's still in it's not widespread enough for everybody to know about it. So after that came out, you started doing research to say, well, what are some of the other competitors are doing, and you see what Tango was doing, and it was like, okay, well, this is some cool stuff that they've already implemented, but the problem is that it was limited, right? Because you're only limited to a handful of phones, and then in terms of
yes and no.
Well, and then in terms of application, from an application standpoint, you didn't have a whole bunch of developers to go in and support it. And that's typical, ways that Google goes about doing business, where they say, we'll start out things in beta phases, we'll let everybody know what we're doing, and then slowly progress along the way. Whereas Apple's, the strategy is different. They come to the table and say, here it is, it's ready to go, let's get supported and go from there. Which one's more successful? I mean, both models work, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So I'm not going to debate which one's more successful from a company standpoint. I'll just debate from this specific standpoint. I think it's proven to show that Apple's way about going about the strategy is being more effective. The reason why I say that is because they worked on all the hard work from the beginning, right? And they did it behind the scenes and created the platform and the foundation of AR for their platform. And when they brought it to the masses, through a developer kit, now we have between now and September, which is normally when iOS 11 gets released for the public, you have developers to go in and say, I know this platform, and I know that I don't have to make an app or whatever software I have to do for hundreds of different devices, so I can specify my specific device, number one. Number two, they can take that information and say, I know that when I put this product out there, there's going to be a market, it's going to be accepted. So if I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, and I own a company that's interested in augmented reality, or let's say I do augmented reality, but maybe in a different form, I can look at Apple's business model and say, you know what, I know I can get a return on my investment. I can invest in creating this software for this device and get a return on my investment a lot quicker than I can with Google's Tangos, or let's say in October, November, whenever they have their conference, they develop something the same. We know through trends that on Google's platform, stuff like that is less supported as much, and developers don't jump on it because they have to support maybe different devices, maybe different Android softwares, different sensors and things of that nature. So from a business standpoint, developers say, I'll target Apple first because I know that consumers will spend money on it, and I know that it's easier for me to get ball up and rolling, right? And then as opposed to Google's, it just takes more work, and normally on Google or Android's platform, it's going to be something that they have to get going down the line because most people expect it to be free, right? And on Android, a lot of people expect it to be free. So as a result, if you're going to do that, you're going to incorporate ads, which just makes your business strategy more complex than saying, I know it's a proven system. I know when the next iPhone drops, people are going to adopt it, and they're going to be interested in this market. So if I develop my application or my application of this solution, if I develop that early on, I have a high chance that customers are going to accept it, and you're going to have those people that just buy the new iPhone and want to try it. Hey, what is AR about? How can I do it? And then all of a sudden you have however what millions of devices that just got sold of customers, and Apple's going to direct them to this front because this is what's new for that phone. So as a result, as a business owner, it makes much more it makes more sense for me to strategize to go here. I have a higher return on investment. It can make my company a lot more money than to say, okay, well, I'll go with Google Tango and it'll come along as it is. So that's why I feel that iOS 11 and ARKit is going to blow past it. And I mean, it kind of already did, because overnight it's the biggest AR platform in the world instantly, right? So from a development standpoint, and they're going to make it for that. And then from a consumer standpoint, chances are we're going to be able to experience more of it on an iPhone than we would on an Android or Google device.
Well, if you don't mind, so I actually do agree a lot on it with you. The first point that I want to agree on with you is the fact that yes, they already are destroying Google's Tango as far as consumer and ability for people to actually touch it and mess with it and develop it, right? They did a very smart method of going about it, and I was actually like, I was watching the actual keynote, Apple's keynote, and my jaw dropped. I was like, wow, that was the most intelligent way of going about it, to get it to people instantly, because they had already developed the hardware so well. The chip was so well in all aspects. The software to hardware was so perfectly matched up, so smooth that this big, huge software update literally worked and matched up really well with it, right? Now, to the disagreeing point of that, because you mentioned several times that that Apple's definitely going to be able to destroy in regards to moving forward with this segment, with this actual technology, right? AR.
Well, what I said was it's going to be adopted faster because developers are going to support it, and as a result of it being adopted faster, it's going to get much more of a head start.
Okay, so going to that point, it just goes back to really what Android and Apple always go back to, which is apples and oranges. And I'm going to mention this a lot to everybody out there. Apples and oranges, because Apple's, as Apple, right? They're going to actually drop this, and they've done it in the way that they've done it, but look at the way and who they're focusing at and to, right? The actual people that they're focusing to is the public, is me and you, everyday user that could go in there, maybe develop for an application, right?
The whole market.
So the public, which is really, if you look at it, is Apple's, it's his butter. It's where Apple always goes to. So it's the actual customer, the everyday user, me and you. Now, you look at Android's perspective, you look at Google's perspective of Tango. Yes, it's a little bit slower to get there, but going back to the oranges that Google always develops its ways, is it starts stuff publicly, really, really beta, almost alpha level stages, and it introduces to see if they get that spark. Okay. Once that spark is gotten, it's not for a regular person like me and you, a consumer, to go in there and start using this product.
Sure.
Usually, who they market to, which is very large within the last year or two for Google, has been enterprise. Google has always focused, and it's now blowing up.
So is Apple. Apple just partnered with Cisco to completely try to change the enterprise market. So,
but they haven't done so as much as Google. Google already has gotten the 3 largest companies, if not the most advancing for enterprise.
No, when you say enterprise, what in enterprise?
Well, to attach that to ARKit, you look at Google, the way that they're doing things. They've actually started and partnered up with IKEA when it first was in beta stages.
But to do what though? You're saying partner to do what? Because when we're talking
about develop in that stage.
To develop in AR?
Yes, AR is being focused towards enterprise opposed to
Apple. Sure about that? Because
I actually took the initiative, and I researched that day you sent me this link. If you go into this link, Google actually still has a developing kit, not just for Tango, but for Google Glass, which has been out way before both of them. Okay. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they've been doing, they sort of scaled back because it didn't match that spark that Google was expecting to get from the public.
Okay.
So then they go enterprise, and in the enterprise business, they've been expanding a lot. They've actually.
Well, when you say you can't say enterprise and not be specific, right? Because enterprise is a huge segment of businesses, right?
That's what enterprise.
But no. But when you say they went to enterprise, what did they do? Because there's tons of companies that are enterprise. You can say Microsoft went enterprise. I mean, everybody uses.
Microsoft actually is more has always been and has always triumphed because it's the enterprise.
But hold on.
So I guess let me differentiate.
But no, not necessarily though, because when you talk about Microsoft, you know them from Word, from Xbox, from different things. So they have products that target different audiences. So what product is Google targeting when you say they went enterprise with what?
Companies.
Okay, no. But to do
internally.
What?
So as an example, I guess I need to differentiate what enterprise is and what the public consumer.
No. When I say enterprise, what I'm looking to get from you is to find out the specific product that Google is targeting enterprise with. Are you talking about using
AR itself? We're speaking about AR.
So we're just talking about AR. So Google is targeting enterprise for AR to do what?
And honestly, it goes in beyond that. I'm looking at the actual business motive of what Google's doing. If you look at Apple's, because you mentioned various times what Apple's business motive is, and their move with this is that they expanded and took over a market within a day, right? With their announcement. What I'm telling you is that, Google hasn't done it that fast and probably won't get there with the public's perspective. But when you start looking at it from the enterprise internal perspective of, hey, as an example, and this is something that we talked about whenever Microsoft developed or announced rather their HoloLens.
Okay.
Right? Internally, I was at Microsoft at the time, internally we had developers there, we had engineers there that were already thinking of how to produce programs that were only going to be for enterprise, meaning the regular public cannot touch this program.
Okay.
Right? So with this program being internal, it was going to allow us to sort of do data center jobs and really slash our errors, human errors, by more than 50% because we'd be guided by holograms to do these products and work on servers, right? So that being said, that aspect, that mindset of, hey, this program will be internal only, will not be allowed to be touched by the public because
Well, you're going to develop a separate one. You're not going to.
or maybe not, X.
It
Right?
probably will have some foundational similarities and say, we're marketing this for public, this is for enterprise because it has this features, this is for public because it has this features.
And then you go back to the regular, I just thought of this right now, which is technically in a way kind of what Apple does with their whole type of perspective of business. Because you just said Apple usually releases stuff to the public once it's a baked and finished program, which...
Yeah, but when we talk about public, it goes enterprise and consumers. We
We'll
don't
say-
segment it that. When we say public, when Apple releases something, it goes to everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're an enterprise
No,
or
it
a
doesn't.
consumer.
No, it doesn't. It cannot,
Like what?
or else your model wouldn't make sense.
How?
Apple develops their stuff internally, not the public. If anything, they have to be
No, but I'm
super
saying when they
secure.
announce it.
Oh, yeah,
After they
yeah.
announce it,
Yeah, that's
it goes to
different.
everybody. So you lost me with your argument. What do you disagree on?
I disagree on that you're sort of combining the fact that Apple and their AR kit will blow Google and Tango and Google Glass and their AR development.
Well, it's already doing it. That's the argument.
To consumer wise, yes.
But how? No consumers have even
That's
touched
what,
it
no,
yet.
no, no. Well, you're not listening to the portion of that. Enterprise wise, there's no way we can really
So let me ask you
calculate and
this.
say enterprise wise stuff that we can't even get into, that we can't even see. What is being developed for?
But then how?
for
So
Google?
hold on. So question. So you're talking about on an enterprise level. Let's say I am Unreal Engine, right?
Okay.
I service both enterprise and direct consumers.
Mhm.
Yet I make AR and VR and all these other graphic things, right?
Mhm.
So when Apple releases me a platform that I can work on, I'm just going to target whatever platform I make for a consumer side, and then I'll also target an enterprise side. So when Google releases Tango, they're not going to release Tango and say, hey, Tango is enterprise only. That's not going to happen. They're going to release Tango as, hey, this is what this software can do. You as developers make it to be enterprise, or you as
I would have to
developers
disagree with
make
that.
it to do this.
Going on to different segments, leave that. We're gonna pause that, leave a bookmark there. We go back to the other actual aspect of what Google is doing with enterprise specifically. Look at their Drive motion, Google Drive. That was started off as a consumer-based thing, right? It sparked up, and it kept up, and really just blew up internally when it came to mobile and its files and the way you put everything in the cloud, security, right? So you fast forward to what they say about a year or two ago, and they announced that, hey, we're going fully enterprise because they saw I would say a big increase in regards to the Chromebooks. The way that their filing system just revolved around it and how they were able to really expand that segment of their business. So now you look at it now, and they're going ham. I'm talking about ham when it comes to enterprise. They've embedded a lot of their business.
But here's the deal. You're trying to incorporate a whole company and all of the services they offer and say they're going enterprise, as opposed to saying this product
I'm not
is
saying
segmented
all of
towards
it,
that.
but I'm saying
why are we
the
talking about
majority of it.
Chromebooks? Like Chromebooks, okay, so Chromebooks are a specific product that Google
Because
offers.
Chromebooks that would actually be the best example. Chromebooks
Hold on.
are the best example of enterprise.
Okay, but hold on. Chromebooks is one product, right? That product is used in consumers and enterprise. It's not one or the other. It's
Yes.
both. Hold on. Google Drive is one product.
Mhm.
There's a purpose for enterprise and consumers, direct consumers, right?
Mhm.
So my point to you is that majority of products that Google's offers, they just say, here's the great product. Use it in the application that you feel fit. And enterprise companies are adopting it. That has nothing to do with Google saying, hey, Google Tango, this is just for enterprise.
No.
Or saying, hey, Chromebooks,
I agree with
we're
you,
meant
I
for
disagree
this.
with you, because what got introduced first? Enterprise with Google Drive? Were they saying, hey, enterprise, everybody take this?
Well,
and
they
use
put
it?
it out. And
Or
then
did they say for the consumer?
Okay, so
what were they marketing towards?
But they put it out and said they marketed it for
No,
everything.
no, they
they said this is what the software
they did
can
not.
do.
They did not just market for everything.
I remember seeing Google Drive, store your stuff in this location and all that
That's
has
a
in
lie.
there
I had to
about
send
it.
you articles because you did not even know what Google Drive was capable of doing.
No, but I'm saying after I saw the marketing information, I didn't say I did the research and found out at first. What I said was when I saw the information, Google's advertising said, "This is our product. This is
Where
what it
did you
does."
see that commercial?
TV, online,
So
Google's
why
website.
would they be promoting to enterprise through a
Well, hold on.
consumer base too?
What makes up enterprise?
That you go.
No, 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 no.
So
no.
when you're
Hold on, hold on.
an
It's a rhetorical
enterprise
question.
solution,
Check this out, though.
Huh.
It's a rhetorical question. People make up enterprises. Are people not consumers?
Yes.
So when you market to people, you market to the consumer. And if you want to segment and say this product is specifically can help this enterprise, you may do something separate on there. But if you market a product out there, consumers are then going to sit back and say, "Well, how can I use this?" And that's my whole point. You as a consumer, you are the public. So when Google puts
Yes,
something out,
I agree, but we've been here, where we work. Me being an actual technical IT type of enterprise internal department type of environment, I can tell you that no. The things that get, I guess, introduced and sort of presented to the public itself is through marketing, is through stores like Apple Store, Microsoft Store. When it comes to enterprise, it takes a team, as you may know, of us to try and go pitch things for big enterprises to sign a contract and take.
okay, so
it's a totally different way of presenting it.
Okay, so to bring this back in the circle, to it has relation to AR. So what you're saying is Google's Tango is
They have been, and not just.
no, hold on. Let
not
me finish.
just-
So Google's Tango is going to be for enterprise. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying that they've actually taken, as of right now, from what I've researched and I've seen, they've actually taken the route ever since the beginning, because Google Glass didn't really spark that consumer side of things that they were expecting.
Okay.
You remember the marketing that they
Yeah.
did for
Okay.
their
Come on.
keynote?
Get to the point. Okay.
Okay,
what
so
you're
now
saying-
looking back to what they're doing now, yes, Apple has sparked that consumer base, and I believe that they've taken
But
over.
why
that
can't they
side.
do both? Why can't ARKit do both? Why is it only
Technically, yes, they can.
limited to one?
Yes, they can. But then I'm just saying that model that they're marketing toward is now being persuaded more towards enterprise. You go and research Google Glass. You go and research Google's Tango, and they've been working for
But if
years
that was the case,
with different
okay,
developers
so
internally
if
on
you're
the
right,
enterprise side.
so let's say you're right. I'm going to discredit everything you just said. Let's say you're right. If that's the case, you don't make the Lenovo phone. If that's
Why
the case.
not? That's
Because
Google's
hold on,
other
hold
side of the
on.
main
Let me tell you why.
stage of what they
I'm
do.
going to tell you why. Number one, based off of the size of the product. Number two, price of the product. And then number three,
What do you mean price of the product?
the price of it. How much you're trying to sell for? That's an average level market. If you're trying to
If
sell
you
it,
want to look at it from the price point,
As opposed to
Google
the two and
Tango is
$500?
actually way cheaper than it is for an Apple
okay,
iPhone.
no. Well, listen, this is my point though. So from a $500 perspective,
Mhm.
as opposed to let's say $800 perspective, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever the case is.
Thousands,
So when you
thousands.
okay, so when you make a Lenovo phone, you're not saying they're not marketing that phone and saying, hey, this phone is made for enterprise. Use this in enterprise. They put the phone out there with Lenovo and the software and said, hey, this is for everybody. Figure out what you want to do with it.
More like a Kickstarter, right?
But that's my point. So you can't come to me and tell me they're targeting enterprise, because if they were, they wouldn't make a phone and then market it and then try to get them to market to consumers.
So
You go
my
directly to
thing is this,
enterprises.
I agree with you. I'm not saying that's not right. I agree with you. They can do both, and they do. Why not, right? However, my point is every company, whichever way you're going about it, you got to be private about your stuff. Apple's a
Before you
perfect
release
example
it,
of
but
this.
after you release it, that's different.
That's what Google's good at. Before you release
What are
it,
they good at?
They have
Being
always
private?
made that public perception of, hey, this is the thing. We've already sort of messed with this for a while. Here's public. Here's a really alpha product, because before this Tango tablet came out, there was a part one, and that thing was hideous and it was huge and it was ugly. And it was more like, here, we're bringing this to the market, right? That was before anybody knew what was going on behind anybody else's scenes.
Okay, but so what is your point?
My point is that
You're
Apple
losing.
had already been working on this, right, internally.
Okay.
They already had been preparing for this, like they do. That's
Okay.
Apple's way
Yeah,
of going about
uh-huh.
it. But Google's way, which is oranges, again, going back to my apples and oranges, they have put that in the actual public to get people to actually start, hey.
But
let's
so
look
where does
into
enterprise come into this? I'm
that
confused.
they've just like we just spoke about right now with Apple, they've hidden the way that they've been developing
Okay.
things, right?
Uh-huh.
That's what enterprise is. That's the definition of enterprise. That you actually have a forefront, right? And this is the public and this is us, the enterprise section, right? We're actually working on this product. We've been working on this product in development for years.
Okay.
So Google itself with Tango has not only put this product out for the public the regular consumer and the public, but has also been pitching
So-
like a lot to the actual enterprise sector.
Okay, so
to
give me,
develop on.
so prove it. Give me a point. How can you prove to me that Google has been trying to get more?
Not trying, they have.
Okay, so how can you prove to me that Google has got more in enterprise adoption on Tango than ARKit?
Go and look at Google Glass's website.
Google Glass is not Tango, dude. Tango is a platform for AR. Google Glass is not. Google Glass will run off of Tango, but Tango
Glass
is the software.
Literally the same software.
No.
that we
Google
ran on
Glass is
both
hardware. Google Glass is hardware, dude. Google Glass is not
Okay, well,
software.
let's say the software inside of Google Glass and the software inside of Google Tango.
But Google just canceled Google Glass to begin with.
That's where you're incorrect. They did not cancel it.
Okay,
And
when
that's
I
what
say
everybody
cancel,
thought.
okay.
And that you just
But hold on,
actually
hold on.
pointed out.
When I
how-
say cancel-
that's the most
So
proof
what-
that we need to just
hold on,
debate
hold on.
how he just proved it right.
So
Let's
hold on,
go
no.
wait.
When I say
Let
they
me make this
canceled,
point, 'cause you
they
always do this.
canceled it.
No.
to
Let
the
me make
public.
this point. They canceled it to the public. However, enterprise-wide, they've been working on this nonstop. Go and look at Google
So-
Glass's website,
so-
and that's my proof.
Okay, no.
They've got
so
over,
what?
I think,
Okay.
35 to 50 big, large software companies that
That
are
do
still
what?
working on developing Google Glass.
Okay, so what enterprise companies have adopted it? Because that's what your argument is.
Go and look at Google Glass's website. That's my proof.
So what you're saying is, if I go to Google Glass right now, I'm gonna find different
enterprise
companies.
saying we've been working on this.
No,
This is-
not working.
This
with
is a
it.
tip.
I'm saying
of
using
what we've
it.
actually
I'm
been
talking about
developing.
using it. Okay, let's do it.
Yes. And this is the proof. And again, I made this research whenever you first sent me this article, and I was like, okay, wow, like this is actually pretty cool. I see the way that Google's
All
really
right,
been
so
diving
we're
into
at Google
immensely.
Glass start. Thanks for exploring the journey doesn't end here.
Okay, that pretty clearly says right there that they're not done.
Okay, but I never said. Hold on.
You said
I
that it's dead.
that
Did you not just say that it was
you
dead?
can't even get information on their own website. If that's not dead
Well,
right now,
first
what
of all, let's
is?
go back to the link you sent me because I actually went
Hold on,
off of
hold on,
everything.
dude. I typed in Google Glass. I'm on Google's website,
I
google.com/glass.
Okay, so what are we just speaking
What
about right now,
information?
though?
Hold on,
What are
you
we
just said if
speaking
I go
about
to
right now?
hold on.
From a consumer's perspective,
Wait a minute. From
They cannot
any
touch this, right?
perspective, you can't get any information. It doesn't even say nothing.
click on the link right there. There's another link. There's a hyperlink right there. Learn more. Oh wow.
Okay, so let's see.
Oh
Glass
wow, there
certified
is a bunch of
partners.
stuff that's been
Hold on,
working
this is
and
not even
developing.
telling us
We got AMS,
Work
Advanced Medical
at
Applications.
Hold on. Let me read the
I
article.
would say that would be another segment. So
Hold
let's
on,
go
hold on.
ahead
Let
and
me
point out.
let me read what it says before we move forward.
Okay.
Glass certified partners are authorized by Glass at Work for delivering enterprise solutions for Glass. They're also eligible for co-branding and listing on the Glass at Work website.
Work
so,
websites.
certified partners. Hold on. AMA specializes in the medical field with solutions
Medical
in
field.
and live surgery demonstrations and remote medical training.
Wow.
AMAs connect doctors to doctor,
You're not
doctors to
talking
patients.
rulers to measure
Hold on,
things.
hold
You're
on.
talking
So these
surgery
are companies
on real
Wait,
human beings being developed. Do you think that
Wait a
service
minute.
is has
Hold on.
can be public?
Okay, wait a minute. So let's go back to this.
No, keep
Google's
going through
Glass,
all
hold
the
on.
companies.
No,
There's a
I
lot
did.
of companies there.
Okay, yeah, but these don't tell you what they do with them. They're just telling you about
They
the
literally
company.
just gave a description of what they're developing
of
on
what the
just a little
company
piece.
does. It doesn't say that.
Go up to the one that you just read, the actual
Look at this.
surgical procedure.
UBI Maxing is a full-service provider focused on creating glass solutions for order packaging manufacturing. That's
That
telling
just
me
told you what they
what this company does, not what they do with glass.
That just said with glass.
Not what they do with it. It says on creating glass solutions for order picking. That's different.
No, they're talking about Google Glass. Glass solutions, being
So-
glass is the solution to make
Hold on.
their process to
So-
ship
so
whatever
here's
they're
the
shipping
deal.
faster and better.
So let's go back to what your original statement was. The original statement was Google Glass is, you disagreed with how ARKit is above it because you said it's segmented for enterprise.
I said I agreed with that. I said I just wanted to show how apples is apples.
Well, what did you
and Google
disagree
is
on? Because you said you
I
disagreed.
disagreed on the segment that you're saying that they will forever sort of just take over the whole AR space, and I'm saying no.
I
You're
never said that
mistaken.
they would forever take over the
I mean,
space.
in other words, right?
I didn't say, all I said was they're ahead, and here's why they're ahead, and here's why they're going to have a lead. I didn't say they were going to own it forever.
Well, going off of what the article says, and it also says that they're blowing them out of the waters
Right
right,
now. That's-
How do we know that though? Because as you may see here,
Because of
all these
development.
actual enterprises that we have here that have to keep their stuff private, they cannot
1,
release
2,
how much
3,
they develop,
4,
how
5,
much they've actually
6,
been working
7,
on in the
8,
background to the
9.
regular consumers. And there's more. If you can see, there's other sections that they've been working on.
So So
Do you see my point of view? Though? I feel like you're sort of just like not wanting to accept it. but-
no. So clearly, I never said there wasn't enterprise capabilities, but what I'm saying is, from a Google Glass perspective, right? First off, Glass isn't AR. Glass isn't Tango. Glass is a main product that has software that can be run. So you kind of took this argument to make it bigger, a different point.
That's incorrect.
Glass
Google
is not
Glass
Tango,
is
though.
hardware. Tango is hardware itself.
No, it's not.
The software that's developed in
Tango is not hardware.
It's the same thing, bro.
Dude, Tango is software. It's not hardware. Let's go to Google's website.
Tango is software and hardware.
No,
right? One
no.
second.
It is no hardware at all. Tango is purely software.
No, actually, no. You're right. You're actually right on that. Tango is software, but the way that it was developed and segmented and broken apart once it became out to the consumers, yes, they had to develop a hardware to mesh specifically with the software.
If you can't
Which
create
is what
software
Apple
that's going to
did.
work without hardware, come on.
No. But you have to mesh it up precisely to where it's gonna be so well meshed up that it's gonna work the best.
But that's
Which
the
look
point.
at Apple.
That's product creation. What's the point of even
No, it's
saying that
not.
statement?
No, it's not because
Why would
look
you
at
make
other
hardware?
Android devices. They get an open source software that's not perfectly meshed up to match up with whatever hardware that they may be developing. And we've seen the fragmentation. We've seen all the errors that come from that. And I would have to agree on that. It doesn't give you that best optimization that you're gonna get if you get a software company that works side by side with the hardware company, making the chips, making the motherboards, making every
Isn't that
single
what
aspect of perspective.
Lenovo and Tango did though?
That is what they did.
Well,
and
then
that
how come
is
they're
what
not
they're
as
developing.
successful as Apple with ARKit.
Because Apple was very intelligent. They have been doing this
Duh.
as the main platform of how they even started the actual smartphone game. They understood, because of the 80s, of the history that they've learned, that hey, we got to optimize the best. And the best to do that is we have to have hardware and software in one company. We can't be having a
Okay, but so you're
modularized
giving
type
me
of
an
business
excuse.
app.
So you're explaining to me why their business model is better. Thank you. That's my point.
I mean,
That's my point.
and I agreed with you on that since the beginning. My motive here was to show you how it's a different game, though, and you can't put them all in
But
one
my
basket
motive is
and
to
then
show.
call Apple a winner like
okay.
Apple likes to
Well,
do.
check this out then. So what if I then come back and show you how ARKit's being incorporated in enterprise? How can you tell me that
Show me an article.
Hold on. Okay, let's look it up.
And you're gonna show me just what software is being used with enterprise, right?
ARKit Enterprise. Okay, here we go. No, this is
12 ways you'll be able to, meaning it's not
Hold on.
done yet.
virtual stores.
Meaning this is just ideas of what enterprise may.
Well, keep
have the
in mind that
capability to do
ARKit
in the
just
future.
came out, so
Not being done already.
ARKit
through
just came out,
enterprises
though.
Through years.
but
years
Tango
of
isn't
development.
doing that. So
We just went to the website of them saying that they've been developing. Let's look
Okay,
at
so
when
let
the
me ask you
website
this.
was
So
made.
quick question: does Google Glass run on Tango? This is an argument right here.
Google Glass.
Does it run on Tango? The software that runs it
itself.
right now, that those enterprise have access to, is that built off of Tango?
I believe that it could be placed
No, and I not
on Google
believe.
Glass.
Oh no. That's not the question. The question is, so right now, if those 9 companies, from Glass perspective, if they have, let's say, the Google Glass that they're going to manufacture, does it run on Tango? The software that powers
That's a very
that.
good question.
I'm gonna tell you no right
I
now.
would say
I'm
yes
tell you no right
because
now. No.
yes because they both are probably running on top of Android.
Okay, but Tango is a separate software, dude.
If it's running on top of Android, all it takes is coding.
Okay,
Because
well,
you're
my
running on
point
the
is that
same
if that was the case, then why couldn't they incorporate Tango on all the other Android phones that are out right now? Why is it segmented to 2?
Because optimization. Yes, you can do it, but it's going to be super laggy.
No.
Battery's battery's
That's
going
the
to be
problem.
horrible.
That's the problem.
The camera's
no.
not going to get the
you
right
can't
depth
because
the
it doesn't
app
have the
might
right
be.
sensors. I'm gonna tell you right now, you can't because it doesn't have the right
But it's
sensors
still
that it
software.
uses. No, it doesn't matter if it's software or not. ARKit is software, but what type of sensor does it need to work? A camera sensor. What kind of other sensor? It needs the what is it called? The sensor that you use whenever you move it. So it needs specific sensors to work. And on the Google Glass, I guarantee you, it does not have the same sensors that
I can tell you
Lenovo
right
has.
now from experience. I've
So-
actually developed Android applications, and when you actually put an Android application that's requiring for certain hardwares, all it will do is it'll give you a forced close. As an example, if you were to put Windows XP, actually no, let's take it even on the Apple perspective. They were able to port over an Apple OS desktop program onto an Apple smartwatch. Now you tell me how that is possible if my knowledge here is
But
that
that's different though.
How
Doesn't
is that
it-
different?
Because
You
they
have
don't
a
need
hardware
sensors.
device.
They don't need sensors to
Yes,
operate the
you
core
do.
system.
No, you're right. They might not need those sensors, and what that's gonna do. Let's say,
And
let's
it doesn't
say you
mean
go,
it does the same thing.
let's say you
anyways.
go to the camera option because I don't know, maybe Apple's software was able and capable of doing it through a desktop to connect the Apple a camera device. That will then read it through their coding and say, okay, this Apple device is here. The hardware is acknowledged through the drivers. They communicate, and now the camera works. However, on the Apple Watch, there is no camera. There is no actual driver for a camera. So what will that do? It's not going to just stop the whole operating system itself and make it not work. It'll just give you a force close on that one driver, on that one segment of that one piece of hardware. And that's
Okay.
it. But the whole operating system will continue to work.
Okay, so check this out.
So
That's
I don't know
funny.
if you
AR
guys,
kit
if you
will
guys
do
want to
this
go ahead
with
and comment on
glasses,
yourself, we'd
so-
greatly appreciate it. I just feel that we have to be able to differentiate, especially nowadays, in the age that we're in technology age, to where the knowledge that you guys perceive and grasp from what these companies are telling you is not just going to affect you, but it's going to affect your kids and your kids' kids. So really understand what we're talking about here and really go and even research it yourself. We're trying to give you guys facts so you guys could actually see, like, hey, this is really important stuff.
Well, we got to move on from this article, but
It was great, man.
I'll include all the links in the comments. But at the end of the day, I proved what I needed to prove. Number one, you say Google Glass is enterprise, but yet it doesn't even run Tango. The software that runs it
No, I
is
think
not
I just
Tango.
clarified that right now.
Hold on,
You
hold
just
on.
happen not
So,
to want to listen.
Okay, so does it or does it not run Tango? Can you give me a definitive yes or no if Google Glass?
I'm gonna have to say yes.
So you say yes. So on the next
The
episode,
operating system will work on Google Glass and vice versa.
so listen to what I'm saying. Listen, be clear. Don't try to change what I said. I said, does Google Glass run Tango? So right now, the medical companies that we were looking at, do they have access to Tango on the glass that they're working with? Because that goes back to the AR that Tango's doing as opposed to the software that Glass was built on initially. It's not the same
That's
thing.
a very good question.
So my point
I
is that-
believe I honestly haven't researched that and got the exact answer, but looking at it from
I'm
a
gonna tell you, there's no way it
developer's
can. I'm gonna tell you right now,
point
it
of view, I have
can't.
to disagree with that.
I'm gonna tell you it can't because of the sensors.
Alright.
There's nothing else that needs to be. So on next,
we'll,
so on
we'll
next,
leave it at that.
so
We'll leave it
on
at that.
on the next episode, we'll go over and I'll show you what software Google Glass runs on, and then I'll show you how this whole argument you lost the entire battle
Hey, if I
because
lost,
you didn't do it,
I
right.
lost,
because
man.
you didn't
But
understand. It right.
From a developer's point of view and just the hardware or software that I'm knowledgeable about, I'm gonna have to say that it is possible.
I didn't say it wasn't possible. Nobody's talking about possibilities. The sky could be red. Nobody's talking about that. We said, do those companies that work with glass now, do they have access to run Tango on the glass? And what I'm saying is, it does not.
I really hope so. All right, guys. Well, we'll talk to you guys next time. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you guys disagree or agree with whomever. And let us know. Thank you.